what more could you want than Trump talking to Dick Morris? How far we have fallen. And it's another phone it in interview. Like this guy, literally, Trump will. I'm this close to like going, I got a Patriot show and I'd love for Trump to call in and talk to us about this, and like at this point, if he's talking to Dick Morris, there's no there. Sorry, Dick. Here you go. And is there audio on this? Oh, again, it just goes to here. I don't know how loud this thing will be. Dick Morris Democracy.
Welcome to Dick Morris Democracy.
Hello, and how are you today? My goodness, there are so many people today who love the smell of Donald Trump's farts, but no more so than I. And yet, sitting here in this old bookstore, the overwhelming smell of yellowing paper sometimes will drown out the buffet beef farts of our former president, who will be reinstated in August. Yeah.
I'm Dick Morris.
Yes, you are.
And today I'm interviewing President Donald Trump by
Really? By what? By telephone?
telephone.
I see. He wouldn't appear on camera without like 5 makeup and hair people, because the mask would slip that easily, would it? And by the way, you're still using the same picture? You're still going with that one, are you? You still? Okay.
Hi, Mr. President. It's
Hi.
wonderful to have you here.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Dick.
There's a drop right there.
What? Q snatch.
Good. My
Good. Good? Hold on. Let's back up.
President Donald Trump by telephone. Hi, Mr. President. It's wonderful to have you here.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Dick.
Good. My father
Good. That's what you say. Good.
and President Trump were associates. My father was President Trump's lawyer, and he's watching us from heaven right now.
What?
He is, and he was a great lawyer, and he was tough. He was tough, strong, and
Yep.
fair, but
He's dead.
was a special guy. One of the reasons I like you
you.
so much, actually, because you have good genes.
Yeah. Why not just slip in a little monarchical racism just at the end of it?
Thank you. Now, an awful lot of Fox News viewers have stopped watching Fox and now tuning
Yeah, let's jump right in there, please.
into Newsmax. Why do you think they left Fox?
Did they? Because they've kind of gone back. I don't know. Dick, did you film this in January and they're not even letting you air your shit till now?
Well, Fox has been a lot different, and I think they're coming back somewhat, but Fox
Yeah,
has been certainly a lot different than it was
they've been different, but it's not.
in 2016. One of the
Yeah.
biggest differences in the election, even though I won 75 million votes, one of the biggest difference, which is far more than I won the first time, if you think about it.
And yet you lost by more than you lost the last time. That's weird.
If you look at what Fox, how they did versus how they did in 2016, it was day and night, a big
Right.
difference. And people.
Well, that's also how you did, because you lost the Electoral College. I mean, you talk day and night. If let's say day, for the sake of argument, is 306 electoral votes, and you won 2016 with that number, and then that's day, right? That's day, and then this time around, Biden wins by that number. Then he would have day, and therefore you would have night. And so therefore your loss was, on an electoral college level, day and night, as far as how Fox would treat you in that day. And then when we talk about the popular vote, for example, Trump lost the popular vote by 3 million. And if that is day, if losing the popular vote by, by 3 million human beings in 2016 is day, that's his idea of day. Remember, this was a huge win. Then certainly losing by 7 million would be night. Just saying.
People are very angry about it.
Do you think it's
Are they? Are they? I'm kind of enjoying my summer so far. I mean, this is a sweet first day of, I'm just saying, it's good.
because they have guys like Mike Wallace as their senior correspondent and Paul Ryan on their board?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, too many lefties. It's the commies, man. It really is.
No, he'd like to be Mike Wallace. That's his father. It's because of Chris Wallace.
Oh, that's his. I see, because his.
And he
I'm sorry, Chris
was,
Wallace. Excuse me.
Yeah, he was disastrous.
Wait, didn't he say, or did he? Like
in 2016, it was time. If you think about it, if you look at what Fox, how they did versus how they did in 2016, it was day and night, a big difference, and people are very angry about it.
Do you think it's because they have guys like Mike Wallace as their senior correspondent?
He did say Mike. That's funny.
And Paul Ryan on their board?
I would have spotted it if I gave a shit.
No, he'd like to be Mike Wallace. That's his father. It's because of Chris Wallace, and he.
I'm sorry, Chris Wallace. Excuse me.
Yeah, he was disastrous.
Sorry,
He was your basic disaster, and he's just a very negative guy, and the people don't want to hear that. That's why they tune out.
Yeah, that's why.
Now I know.
Really, if that's why they tune out, then why do they still? I mean, they're the number one news channel. I mean, Rachel's been beating Hannity in his time slot. Lawrence does really, really well. But it's been, and it continues to be, Fox, CNN, MSNBC. The only one that jockeys up at all is MSNBC during certain times. And Newsmax doesn't even chart.
I know you said, and I completely agree with you, that it's the right.
Well, that's why you're on Newsmax, because Newsmax's entire raison d'etre, the entire existence of their network, is only have guests on that completely agree with you, and only have hosts that completely agree with Donald Trump. End of conversation. That is what Newsmax is for.
The right of every American to decide if they want to be vaccinated or not. But do you think we should require healthcare workers who are exposed to patients to be vaccinated?
Well, I think we should certainly try and convince them. Look,
certainly try and convince them.
A big fan of the vaccine. I was the one that got it done in record time, less than 9 months. Everyone.
Yeah, but the only people who don't trust it, apparently, are all of your followers, and apparently a big swath of black people who know better than to trust the government when it's run by a guy like you. And the more you're like, yeah, I mean, it happened under me. Like, okay, he rushed it.
Said it would take 3 years, 5 years, and it's why people are getting better now. We not only did that, we also ordered billions of dollars worth of it before we even knew if it worked, and that was one of the best bets ever made.
Yeah, but that wasn't your decision. That's what everybody said to do. As a matter of fact, that was in the pandemic response pamphlet that was left behind, the book that they gave you after you fired everybody. They went, okay, look, we know you're stopping the pandemic response team, but at least here's an instruction book. Here's a manual in case something happens. If you're going to make us leave, at least follow this. It was in there. Yes, it is definitely a Bits and Venmo day. Thank you, guys.
They wouldn't have their vaccinations yet. But I think having workers, at least convincing them to try and do it, because, I believe in the freedom, I believe in all of that, but the vaccine really has been unbelievably effective, and it's saving this country, it's saving the world. So, yeah, I mean, it's something that hopefully you could convince people to do it.
Yeah, hopefully you could convince people to do it. I mean, if you were a leader, but apparently the only people who aren't going to take it and are refusing actively are people who thinks the sun shines out of your ass. Someone please ask him that. Someone please ask this asshole why 98% of the people who are refusing the vaccine are people who would wish they had a boat so they could be in a Trump boat parade.
Keeping always freedom in mind, but convince people to do it.
Okay, yeah.
Do you think that Derek Chauvin got a fair trial?
Wow, we're just knocking it out of the park today.
Say it again.
Yeah, Dick, go for it. Do you think Derek Chauvin got a free trial? You know, the guy who was kneeling on a man's neck as he died, and let's just absorb the right-wing storyline, which is he died of a drug overdose. So the guy dies of a drug overdose, and Chauvin, as a representative of the city of Minneapolis, doesn't roll him over and start CPR immediately because the man is dying of a drug overdose. And this is buying their entire storyline. Continues to kneel on a dead guy who he full-on knows is dead, because it's better if the people take him away in an ambulance than see him doing compressions on a dead guy. And in that circumstance, that's it. I mean, beyond the fact that kneeling on his neck killed him. That beyond that, even if you buy into, and I'm sure this is what Dick Morris is talking about, and I'm sure this is the thought that is swirling around the head of Donald Trump and all of his fans.
Do you think Derek Chauvin got a fair trial? The cop in Minnesota.
I think that it was
Oh, answer this one. Thread this needle.
It was probably a very tough in terms of that, but I think he was certainly he behaved terribly. It was a terrible scene. Look, that video was just absolutely a terrible situation. That was uncalled for. Nobody's seen anything like it. The video was so devastating that
it was so devastating that Newsmax can't wait to play it again.
I guess you could say that trial ended before it started. But, you know, I think there were a lot of threats. I think a lot of people jurors were threatened in a sense. I think that.
The trial was over before it started. The video is horrifying, but probably the jurors were threatened, and that's the way. Holy shit.
Everybody felt threatened, and it was bad all around.
Everybody felt threatened? There were like 9 people standing there, all yelling that they should help the guy. Nobody bum rushed that line. Everybody was threatened.
But the video, if you discount everything else, but the video.
Yeah, if you just go by the evidence.
It was a terrible thing.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Now, sir,
Yeah, but you agree that the video is horrible, but it doesn't sound like you agree that Chauvin should have been found guilty. That's the concerning point.
get so little credit for some of the things you've done.
Yeah, like getting Mexico to pay for the wall and us not hitting a deficit last February or a year ago February. And yeah, and I mean, 600,000 dead Americans. I mean, no other American president even comes close.
One of your big accomplishments was in solving the immigration crisis.
Yeah, it's solved, guys. I don't know if you know this. I like, people will call it a crisis, but it's solved. It wasn't a temporary fix. He built that wall, and it's solved. Solved it, guys. It solved it. I don't even know why I think it's offensive that Newsmax even talks about the border and pretends that their hero Donald Trump didn't solve it.
By persuading Mexico to hold migrants on their side of the border so they wouldn't.
Yeah, that's what did it. Now, they held them there, and they didn't do it. They didn't send them back to their own countries. They didn't provide them with services while they were there. They just basically said you can go no further in some areas, and then what? They waited.
They wouldn't get all kinds of American constitutional rights by setting foot here. Why doesn't Biden just...
We don't get American constitutional rights just by setting foot here. You get certain legal protections, but you don't get baseline protection. Like, you can't become president, for example. That's
instantly resolve his border problems by going back to your policy.
If he would have done nothing, we would have had right now the strongest border in history. All he had
Really? Because I thought it was because they didn't finish the wall.
to do is nothing. I had everything worked out with the other countries, whether it's Guatemala or Honduras, El Salvador.
Yeah, then why did it stack up full of people? If you had all that shit worked out, where are these people coming from? because they didn't caravan their way up. They were waiting. They were sitting there.
Salvador, Mexico, and even Mexico. Stay in Mexico. In other words, these people had to stay in Mexico.
Oh, that's what that means. Guys, I know some of you were asking earlier, and I was a little confused myself, that stay in Mexico means staying in Mexico.
And they couldn't get into our country. And he ended that. It is just crazy what they did. And the question is, do they do it out of incompetence, which I happen to think, or they do it because they really believe open borders are good for this country, which they...
By the way,
a lot of very bad things are happening in Nicaragua.
It's just so you know.
No, we won't have a country. They're destroying our country.
Are they? Who's they? Oh, the 9-year-olds, right. The 11-year-old drug runners. The MS-13 kids who are 6. Right. The little girl floating in the fucking Rio Grande. Yeah, she was... We were just lucky we dodged that bullet. I mean, she looked like a cartel head, you know.
Now, you gained 8 points among Hispanics and 6 points among Asians in the last elections. And I think it's because these are...
Yeah, in percentages, because it's a lot. Can you imagine how few fucking people that is? So none, like they're at 0, and the actual number being like 1,000 people in a country of 340 million. And then you gain 6% in it. You get an extra 600 people, or like 60 people rather. That 6%. All right.
These are folks who want to be Americans. They voted with their feet to become Americans. They dreamed of it. And then they saw the left tearing this country down and they voted against it. Do you think Republicans will eventually carry the Latino vote?
Sorry. And by the way, what immigrants didn't vote with their feet to come here? I guess what? Cubans, they paddled? Is that what your argument is, Dick? Anybody who came by boat, they didn't vote with their feet? What?
I think they have a chance because if you look at the Latino vote, it's very entrepreneurial. These are great entrepreneurs. They're great business people. They love hard work. They love money, and they're making money, and they're very entrepreneurial. And obviously, Asians the same way. And I also did well with the African-American vote. So we did well with everything.
Hey,
Dick, we got 75 million votes, and there's no way he got 80, okay?
No, he got 81, and there's no way you got 75.
There's no way. You know that, and so does everybody
Mr.
else.
President, we all do. Do you think...
We all do. Don't we?
We all do. I do, and everyone in any one of these books behind me, all the fictional characters and all the dead people that the books are written about, and real nonfiction. There's a few in there. They all, Mr. President, they all think you won.
That Black Lives Matter siding with the Palestinians over the Israelis will hurt their cause?
I don't think it's going to help their cause. I think what's happened to Israel is one of the great injustices. You know, if you look back 10 or 12 years ago, Israel was so protected by Congress. Congress loved Israel. Now, especially if you look at the House doesn't like Israel. The House is protective of anything other than Israel.
Anything other than Israel. That's right. The House. Basically, Nancy Pelosi's been running the House of, on a principle that they would prefer North Korea to Israel. They would prefer just strafe bomb all the Jews. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Anything. Prefer anything. And this is not hyperbole. You have to understand. This is the former president of the United States speaking truthfully to Dick.
What's gone on with the House, with AOC and with Omar and all of these people and Pelosi, they are not in favor of Israel. And yet the Jewish vote goes to the Democrats.
It's weird. It's almost like you're full of shit.
So someday you'll have to explain that to me.
I could do it if you need. I mean, can I do it? Can I phone it in? Can I call you? Because I don't really need to smell you. I don't need to. No one needs to be downwind.
Because there's nobody that's done more for Israel than I have.
Okay, there you go. Not since maybe after 1946. Let's just say.
You got that right. You know, one of the things you don't get credit for that really blew me away.
Oh boy.
Was when you negotiated that new trade deal with Mexico and Canada.
Oh yeah, the one which is responsible for all the high wood prices right now.
First
Right.
time in world history that you required Mexican car companies to pay their workers $16 an hour. They now make $3 to be able to import their products into the U.S. without tariffs.
Which, by the way, sounds like something AOC would come up with.
Revolutionary concept. How on earth did you ever get Mexico to go along with it?
Well, we made a great deal. Look, it was NAFTA. It was the worst deal in the history of our country, trade deal. And it was a disaster. And I made the USMCA, that's with Mexico and Canada.
Oh, that's what the M and the CA stand for. I got, can someone write that down for me? He hasn't said that before, so I must have missed it.
Great for our farmers, great for manufacturers, great for everybody.
Yeah, it's so great. I mean, not if you want to build a house right now, but, yeah. Not if you're a Canadian dairy farmer. But, yeah.
And when they raise it, it was good for the Mexican worker, but it was also, it made Mexico, gave them less of an advantage. They've taken over the course of years, not during my administration, but before, they took 32% of our automobile manufacturing business.
Okay.
So when I was able to get that, you saw that, some other people, it made them less competitive in terms of sending people out.
I'm fairly certain that Dick Morris telling him that this is in that in the USMCA is completely news to Trump, for the record. He had no idea that was in there. I'm just going to go with that, honest to God. Like, he just think, get it done. That was it.
People
That's
out.
right.
That's why I liked it. And frankly, they were getting paid like nothing. So what happened is we got that done. But we got the USMCA done, which has been an amazing deal for the United States.
Yeah. Even Biden didn't try to repeal it.
Yeah, well, we're what, 3 years into his administration, and he hasn't tried to repeal the trade deal? Repeal it, really?
Why do you think North
done
Korea?
that. And I don't think he could at this point because everybody is loving it. And maybe the farmers more than anybody else. The farmers are loving it. USMCA. No, we're very proud of it. You're right. I don't get any credit. I don't get credit for the China deal either. Now, China changed a lot.
Yeah. Tell him how that China deal thing went down. So, was it after you started to believe that they had attacked us with a bioweapon that then you sold them the largest order of beef, corn, and soybeans in American history? After several months, 3 months minimum after you floated the idea, and everyone in your inner circle seemed to believe that China intentionally, didn't make it up. I mean, didn't accidentally, they didn't slip out and then get to a wet market and then into a bat and then into a person. No. According to Trump and his flunkies, this was intentionally released, and they could have stopped it. Remember, he says this all the time. They could have stopped it, but they didn't. Well, if they could have stopped it, they would have stopped it. Unless they wanted it to get over here, that's what the argument they're making. And if they wanted it to get over here, they knew how deadly it was. They knew what it would do to our economy, and they knew what it would do to our people. And Trump's answer to that was to pretend it didn't exist, say the Chinese are being completely transparent, say Xi Jinping was, is a good friend and knows what's going on, and then sell them all of our beef, corn, and soybeans while American people are in food lines because businesses are shut down.
A lot after COVID. But before COVID, I made a trade deal with China that during benefited us incredibly.
No, it didn't. They were supposed to buy $30 billion worth of goods. They bought 14.
We were cutting their deficits. The farmers are doing better now in the farm belt than they've ever done before. The cost of grain. China buys so much.
Biden's...
Wait. Dick, no. You have to understand. Back up, Dick. Ask him again whether or not... You know what? You should always ask the Wuhan virus question before the one like, did it come from a lab? Do you think they did it on purpose? Get him in that one and then follow it up with, what do you think about trade deals? And then he would have... Then the hemming and hawing is fun.
Under that deal that have made our farmers
do you think Biden's going to roll back... I'm sorry, sir. Do you think Biden will reimpose these tariffs now that he's in?
We don't know what he's going to do, but it's very hard for him to end them because they've been so much money, billions and billions of dollars is coming into our country. And it's very hard for him to end them. He would have ended them already. He used to talk that he was going to end them.
Right.
But I think his people said, hey, wait a minute, we're getting billions of dollars and making our companies more competitive with the tariffs that I put on. So far he hasn't ended them because, where do you...
Because shipments are down. Our trade deficit shrunk because of COVID, because everybody else is looking for suppliers in other countries. That production is moving out of Shenzhen and other places at a lightning fast clip.
Replace that kind of money, billions, and China never paid us anything.
Well, clearly they did. And whose phone is ringing? Is that Dick? Is that your other phone? Ghosting the president.
They didn't pay us over the years. They didn't pay us anything, Dick.
Well, yeah, not us. Walmart, but sure.
And now all of a sudden we're getting billions and billions.
Yeah, Janet. Dick Morris does sound like Truman Capote, and this ranks up there with one of Truman Capote's interviews, I would say.
Tens of billions of dollars.
Did you really kill 600,000 Americans?
A year.
It sounded more like Jerry Lewis.
Here, and no, I think he is. He shouldn't get rid of them. That I can tell you.
Yep. Now, sir, thanks to offshore drilling and fracking and Alaska drilling, you've always said correctly that we're energy dependent for the first time in 60 years.
Yeah, we are energy dependent for the first time in 60 years. We're not even energy independent for the first time in 60 years.
But all of the electric car batteries, the solar panels, and the windmills are powered by rare earth minerals, and China has a virtual monopoly of them. You raised U.S. production by 44%. But is Biden just replacing our dependence on the Arabs with dependence on China?
Well, we're going to be dependent on China if he doesn't do something about it. And China...
Please, Dick, please drill down, no pun intended, on his knowledge about rare earth minerals.
China's getting away with murder, and with rare earth, this is so important. And, we have a place in California. They shut it down for environmental reasons. It's crazy.
It's almost like it was the water was more important.
Shut it down for environmental reasons, and it's this beautiful, big, large, many, many, many acres of land. It's got
beautiful, big, large, many, many, many acres of land. He does have the best words. He doesn't use them in the right order or with the proper frequency, and sometimes he puts the emphasis on the wrong syllable, but the best words, nonetheless.
Got great rare earth, and we shut it down.
We got great rare earth. They have what? Hold on.
Reasons, and it's this beautiful, big, large, many, many, many acres of land. It's got great rare earth, and we shut it down for environmental reasons. It is crazy what we're doing in this country.
And because of that, we can't make batteries for cars or for solar energy or for windmills.
We have to go elsewhere. We have to go to China or other countries. And
what other countries would that be?
And
what other countries would that be?
That can't be.
That can't be? No? Can't be India? Can't be Africa? Can't make better trade deals with the African countries than China does? No? Can't? Why not? Why not? Why would it? Oh, because you'd have to talk to. I see.
We have places where you can have it, but they don't want them open for environment. I had this one open. I had this one all ready to go. I hear they want to close it down for environmental reasons, and there is no environmental problem.
Incredible.
Yeah, of course not. It's huge. It's big, beautiful, big, gigantic, rare earth places of stuff. I heard they had this place wide open.
Now, I noticed that after you left office, North Korea fired its first ballistic test missile in 3 years.
No.
They hadn't done it under you, but bang, as soon as Biden took over, they took it. What do you think?
No, they were just building them.
Think Biden's doing wrong that you did right on North Korea?
Well, I developed a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un, and
yeah, the Trump Tower Pyongyang is just going to be beautiful. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be a monument of concrete and concrete.
We get no credit for that, but the fact is, for 4 years,
You get no credit for letting him build more missiles without any check on him whatsoever. You get no. Why is that?
Had no problem. We were getting along, and now he's very hostile toward Biden and the administration.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why a guy like that, who murders his own family members to get into power, who keeps his own people behind walls with machine guns, will murder dissidents. Like anybody who had COVID, they would just shoot him. I don't know why a guy like that wouldn't get along with Joe Biden, whereas he got along with a guy like you. That is a good question. What could it be? Is it says, do you have the same taste in music? Do you like the same movie, but for different reasons?
Very, very hostile. But the relationship was a very strong relationship, very good relationship.
Very good.
And it was really something that was going to lead to a deal.
Something.
And now the relationship is...
Was it? When? Well, oh, if only you'd still been president.
Gone, and it's too bad. It's too bad. But no, he's been very hostile and talking in a very nasty way to Biden.
More
Really, dotard?
of my discussion with President Trump in just a moment.
No, I don't think so. Unless do they click? Is there more? No, I guess not. That's the end of this clip. Unless they.
The cost
Brilliant.
of lumber, used cars, gasoline, and
my
everyday
God.
goods has just begun to
Horrible.
skyrocket.
Oh my God.
Eerily similar to
You
FDR.
should buy gold and silver because that's the important thing is that you buy lots of stuff. And it does continue. Hold on. And the phone's still down there.
Download the free app now.
The
Takes just
Newsmax
seconds.
app is
Newsmax TV.
fantastic.
Watch us.
Put it on your phone that follows you all around with a chip. That way it would have no participation in any kind of nanotechnology that would require you to give us your personal information, and yet we still do. Newsmax
Anytime,
app.
anywhere.
Dick Morris going on down in the gutter, and he lives downtown. Dick Morris.
Today I'm
democracy.
interviewing President Donald Trump by
from a used bookstore. Love it.
telephone. You know, during the campaign, sir, you and I talked a lot about the effort to defund the police. Now 9 cities have done that, and their murder rates are up 68%. 68%.
It's crazy.
Should the feds step in and say that anybody that cuts police funding will lose federal law enforcement assistance aid?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. So people in a neighborhood or an activist area or somebody on that lives in an area where they're outnumbered by people on the whatever city council or what have you that defunds the police. If they get murdered, the FBI is just going to cross their arms and forget and not look into it, especially if it's a hate crime or anything like. Yeah, that's great. That's a great idea, Dick. Yeah, that'll save lives.
It's okay with me.
Well, yeah, because in your mind, all the right people are getting shot.
I think if you defund the police, you should be on your own because
That's a great idea. So everybody in a neighborhood, it's kind of like almost like if you're in a state where the governor doesn't like the president can just deny you federal aid and just let you die because it's your ass for being on the losing side of an election.
because that's insane. And every place that's done it, it's almost like they're a bunch of babies. They don't know what they're doing. It's so
That's how I would describe it.
basic. Defund the police, crime goes up. That's what's happened. Every single place they've done it, they defund the police, crime goes up. There's no way that a man who is politicking on defund the police wins.
Politicking on defund the police. By the way, you do realize that Biden ran against the idea of defund the police? Like he believes in police reform and more training and that kind of stuff. But he beat the people in the election that were directly aligning with defund the police by a lot. Just saying.
Wins an election. That I can tell you.
That I can tell you. Well, apparently you're right, because Biden didn't run on that and he won the election.
Right. Now, you know, New York and other states have abolished cash bail. As soon as they arrest a guy, they let him out, and they sort of pray that he shows up for trial. How about cutting the law enforcement assistance aid if a state repeals cash bail like New York did.
That's a great idea. So the city council pushes through an idea that you don't necessarily agree with or isn't functional. Anytime they push a program in an attempt to try and fix a problem, and you don't, and it goes against what you would want, or even if you think you're for it, but you don't get a cycle to go, see if this works. So I don't know, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, any of that stuff. No, screw it. At any point when that happens, according to Dick Morris and Donald Trump, we should just pull out any federal assistance. So, like, I don't know, like, say that a city in Oklahoma decides that they think that all tornado shelters should be above ground and made out of matchsticks. And 60% of the town is against it, but the elected representatives represent 40% of the town, and they just pass it with by fiat. They just, gavel it in. And so all the 60% of the people and the other people who thought it might work for some weird reason, maybe because it'll, it's like nuking a hurricane. It's the same kind of theory, that their houses get wiped out because of something the government did that they disagreed with. But according to Dick Morris and Donald Trump, the feds should just leave them to the wind. That's what makes America great. I mean, if you can think of a better example of why America would be a great country, is that, if your city, goes against proper procedure or creates a law that makes problems worse before they get better, or worse, period. If you're in one of those cities, the fact that the federal government can just leave you to the wolves, just leave you to be wiped out, I mean, honestly. I mean, it's already great again.
So you look at no cash bail. That's another thing. That's the new in vogue thing. You can murder someone and you get out with no cash bail.
No. No. Doesn't apply to murderers.
It's absolutely insane.
Doesn't apply to murderers.
What's going on with law and order and crime in this country, it's only going to get worse. It's going to get much worse, including all.
Aren't you the guy who ran against Biden on the idea that he supported the crime bill, which actually lowered crime, and black mayors all across the country were for?
All of the people that are coming, we had the strongest border in the history of our country.
Oh, they're hiding the edit with the video. I don't know why he's on the phone.
Very few people. Drugs were way down. Human trafficking was almost stopped. We did things that were
almost stopped. You mean because of COVID, when no one was going anywhere?
Amazing. And you take a.
He's not blamed big tech yet. We'll get there. I think that's what Dick Morris is kind of. Maybe he'll bring it home at the end.
Look at what's happening now. And let me tell you, they're letting people from prisons. They're opening their prisons. Their prisoners are coming in. They're murderers. They're drug addicts.
Again, this is, remember, Mexico, they're rapists. When they send them, they aren't sending their best. They're sending rapists, they're murderers, drug dealers. And some of them, I assume, are nice people. That whole phrase from when he came down there, same shit, same notes. But the difference now is that he's not an ignorant, rich, second generation slumlord from New York. He's a guy who was president for 4 years and has told everybody, yourselves included, that he's got a great relationship with the president of Mexico. He's a tough guy, and he respects that guy because he's doing the right thing, and he got him to give 28,000 soldiers on our border. Remember that whole storyline? He respects the president of Mexico. And yet he also believes that the president of Mexico is opening the prisons and releasing all their worst criminals into the United States on purpose. At this point, at this point, I would be shocked if Trump was president during 9/11, if a week after the towers went down, he wouldn't have said, I just signed a deal with Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. It's a trade deal. We're getting all our poppy at a cut rate now, and we're going to have all the opioids we can stand.
Addicts and drug dealers, by the way, and the human traffickers are coming in. They're letting them in. They want them in. They don't want them in their country, so they're saying send them to the USA.
Right. So that's. But he respects these leaders, and he has a great relationship with them. How? What?
And we're accepting them because they've opened up the borders, Dick.
Have they? Sorry. That's just wrong.
Now, you have always been a strong supporter of women's sports, and you know.
He's what? He's always been a what? Is this we're getting into trans athletes this way? What?
How much good Title IX of the Civil Rights did in promoting equality. Now boys are just crossing the street without surgery or even hormone therapy and announcing that they're girls and winning.
What street is this? I just need to know. Is it, I mean, it must be a busy street.
All the scholarships and the championships. Should this be allowed?
All the scholarships and all the championships.
It's insane. It's very unfair to women. It's going to destroy women's sports if it hasn't already done it.
He does. I thought you were a big proponent of women's sports. You don't know whether women's sports is still around? I'm guessing you haven't been watching gymnastics lately?
You look at some states, every single record is now held by a person who was a man just a little while ago, where they...
In Connecticut.
Yeah, especially in high schools. What?
All 30
into
championships.
weightlifting. You look at what's going on with the weightlifting records and the track and field records and all of these records.
Yeah, I mean, you must be exhausted from trying to give a shit.
And women aren't going to be able to compete. One young woman in Connecticut, she was the star runner in Connecticut.
I had her on my show a few weeks ago.
Oh, good. She was at the 80-yard line, and the race was over. The whole thing out of a 100-yard dash.
Yeah.
This is insane, and it's going to destroy women's sports. How do you compete? It's so ridiculous. I can't even believe we have to have a conversation about it, actually.
Yeah, Dick, why'd you bring it up? Honestly, he didn't want to answer that one. Ask him about the border again.
And Biden says that we shouldn't discriminate against transgenders. In fact, we're discriminating against girls. Now, sir, in 22 states, Medicaid
transgenders, all right,
paid money is being used to pay for gender change surgery for kids, for 10 or 11-year-olds.
No, there is not gender there is no gender confirmation surgery for 10-year-olds.
You didn't allow that. Do you think we should prohibit Medicaid money from going for gender change surgery?
Yeah.
There is no gender changing surgery for children. There's hormone therapies in some cases, but no one is giving a 10-year-old, no one. I mean, it's like, this is fucked up.
Absolutely.
Yes, you know what? We need to pass a bill that says this shouldn't happen, even though it's not going to happen. No one's asking that it happen. But if we pass a bill or we state this, it will make it look like that's what the other side wants, and therefore we can pin this kind of weird thing on them.
Absolutely. For kids, young kids getting it, young, beyond young.
Okay, first of all, fuckhead, if somebody who's trans starts earlier in life, let's say they compete in sports in college and they've literally been under hormone therapy or had surgery in the 68 years leading up to it, then they're on a more even playing field with the other people that they're competing against, both male and female. In theory, if they have the athleticism to chart anyways, which is, again, we're talking about 2% of the public, and one meets 0.005% of the public, and we're narrow casting it on that. I don't know what beyond young means. It's gross.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. How are you beyond young? Trans babies, here they come.
Well, sir, thank you. This has been fabulous. And
isn't it?
I just want to tell you how fabulous I think you've been.
Yeah, he's been fabulous. You're fabulous. It's all fabulous.
As a president. And I just worry that people don't really understand the
how fabulous he is?
Depth of your achievements. We've touched on a few of them here, and I think it's very important that people...
Well, obviously they can't, Dick. They can't, because his achievements are so shallow, they were able to be completely wiped out in, what, 3 months?
Understand just how much they're missing you.
Well, I appreciate it very much. And, say hello to your wife. She's a great woman, and I will see you soon. Okay?
I'm sorry, I'm having a Jiminy Glick moment.
Okay?
I sure will. I remember that once when I read you an ad about defunding the cops, and you said, that's a great ad, but you didn't write that. I know who wrote that. Your wife wrote it. You have the genes, but she has the brains.
You take care of yourself, okay?
I will. You take care.
Thank you, Dick.
What does America think of all the stuff going on in Washington?
Yeah, what do they think?
All the garbage Pelosi has passed in the House.
Yeah, all that garbage.
Well, I teamed up with John McLaughlin, Trump's pollster, and we conducted...
Trump's pollster. Well, there goes. I mean, I guess... Are you supposed to say that out loud, Dick? Trump's pollster.
...did a survey to measure that, and the majority agrees with us, not with...
Weird. Isn't that funny? Trump's pollster does a poll, and the majority of the people that answered it agrees with you and him. That's weird. What are the odds?
Sure. I'll be right back.
Oh, thank God. Democracy.